I think awareness also goes back to being aware of the world that we live in and how it operates. I think sometimes that can help alleviate a lot of the shutdown that comes from people because they don't quite understand the systems that are at play. But if you start to understand how, kind of like taking it back to the game, I was trying to articulate it that you were talking about BizWiz. Like the card game itself is the system. So in order to understand how to play this game, the game of life, right? It's helpful to understand the systems that are at play. And we have all kind of systems. There's like political systems, there's cultural systems, and there's systems within those systems.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think when you start to really understand how the world works, how the world is working, regardless of how you show up, it takes a bit of the pressure off because it opens your awareness around like, oh, wait, I also get to choose how I want to engage and interact in my life. So do other people. And so your awareness, it kind of gets like, it's this weird kind of space of like, I'm aware from my perspective. And
Mhm.
then you start to be open to other people's perspective, which is their awareness. And
Mhm.
so you're in this state of for the most part, hopefully, I think this is the goal of of having the capacity, kind of going back to what you're saying, being able to feel other people. Like when they say, can you feel me? Like, yeah, I
Mhm.
can feel you. You can't feel people if you don't feel yourself. So it comes back to yourself. I think we have to be selfish. I think this idea that selfish is wrong is like, no, that's the key. We need to be more selfish. We need to
Mhm.
be more with ourselves. So we have that awareness around how we may be triggered or how the system is influencing our capacity to be aware.
Mhm.
So I know I
Mhm.
said a lot there, but it to summarize it is just the awareness that I have is that everyone's experience is very different.
It is.
It's very important to let go of the judgment of how it shows up and also be open to the change and the shift because you are contained within a world that has different levels of awareness. And our awareness is always expanding greater
Mhm.
and greater and
Mhm.
greater. So that's also something that I know you can speak on is like, it's like playing a video game. You get to level 20, you're like, yeah, I won the game. It's just kind of like, oh, wait, there's another level. Oh, but it opens you up in a way and you start to kind of adjust your awareness. Your awareness is ever expanding is kind of my experience. But I think the important thing I always remind people is allow it to be as it is. If it's chaotic, okay, it's chaotic. Guess what? We see you have the awareness around it. How can we start to manage from that experience of chaos? Got to start
Exactly.
somewhere, people.
Exactly.
Perfection doesn't exist. We are not perfect human beings. We do it messy all the time. Okay. We fart, we poop, we pee, and some of us are just more trained than others to do that in a toilet.
Word. They keep it real as they tell the truth, same the devil. So yeah,
Yes, that's a really good one.
yeah. And sometimes you have to sit it and you have to pull away from the noise. I haven't spoke about that. I don't know. I had something about the noise. Just now, you have to
The
pull away
noise.
from the noise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna say it again. So I mean,
Yeah.
as we reflect here on what we've spoken about, I mean, you know, I think I spoke. I don't know if I did. I'll mention it again because it's saying to mention it again because this was an awareness just recently, yesterday, that said, "Well, speak about this." Now, I mentioned I was on my way to golf to practice or to hang out. This at this historic. I'm wearing it now. It's a historic golf course in East Canton, Ohio, and there's a lot of people that have came out of town purposely to come play it. It's the first ever owned historically um, golf course, opened in 1946, and it's still owned by the family. And it's a really, really beautiful and challenging course, especially number 9. But with that being said, I was on my way there and I was sitting at a red light, about to turn right. And I was just sitting there, just chilling, kind of waiting. There's another car in front of me. And I'm telling you, when I looked in my rearview mirror, which I like to stay in pretty heavily, and I did not get on the gas and I moved, and I'm telling you, this big truck. Now, my vehicle is made primarily out of metal. Most of them aren't, but it would have crushed my whole back and my golf clubs. I don't know if they would have survived it. And all of a sudden, this guy hear the screeching, the brakes, me in the rearview mirror, and I see this thing coming up to me. So obviously, I got aware. I was gonna get off to move, but something told me I was gonna be all right. And I just looked. I didn't, and the other things like, oh my God, and I was just so calm. I was so calm. I couldn't believe it, but I knew I was gonna be torn for the floor if what happened didn't happen. He had some good brakes on that thing, and I didn't move. I didn't get off the gas. I didn't get to move up. I wouldn't have had to move up. I'm not sure if I'd had a ditch, but it was just an awareness of how I was in the moment. Um, was no need to finger nobody. Wasn't nobody. No need to get out the car. I was just thankful and I said thankful that he had brakes that was able to stop because he was rolling. He was rolling. I'm visualizing it now. And so I looked at that. Ended up behind me, followed it. And I was just in such a mellow, mellow, mellow mood. So it was something that I was aware of the whole time. And it still obviously sits with me because I'm talking about it after about, I think it's been 2 weeks, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And, um, and that's the type of state you want to encompass, or you want to connect with, which is the true essence of that with you.
That's
And
a
so
good
when we
one. That's a great story on how to be aware of moments that divine intervention came in. Because, this is like a layered conversation. Like, I think there's an importance of awareness, like awareness around that you're not alone, awareness around
Mhm.
that you just think, like, take her sharing that story and think of the times that you've had experiences, because a lot of times, like, hindsight is always 2020. Like, you can see it much more clearly. A lot of times we don't feel like we have that support, or we feel like we're really kind of alone in the world. And that's a really beautiful reminder of God's cover and protection, of angels were
Yes.
around you. So if we can start
Yeah.
to maybe reflect back on the awareness and that reminder that we're not alone, that we have like guardian angels that protect us in those moments, it can help support us in and not being in so much upset, being able to go into
Yeah.
situations much more calmly as
Yes.
well. So I thanks for sharing that story. It kind of like pulled forward, like that's a great example of referring back and being aware of the source that so many people are struggling to see the presence of.
Yeah. I mean, I also had to recognize that I've had to do that before. And especially, oh
Mm.
man, especially in traffic jams or something that, and you have to be aware of what's ahead of you as well, especially in driving, because who, if most people here are probably watching, are probably drivers. If you're not, then you want the other person who drives you to be aware. Because I think, like I was, there's one of the persons that she said if she can't see or her eyes are dilated, I am honored and humbled that she would ask me to drive her when her eyes are dilated. That's really cool. With that said, to be aware, to be able to see traffic when it stops ahead of time, sometimes it's just crazy though. And brakes, having them are really a blessing and keeping up, with that, you know. But that story is still, and when I got to the club, I didn't say anything to anybody because I realized why. It was just a blessing. So I didn't need to, oh God, I mean, I've shared and I just I almost got hit. I almost could have been towed from the floor up. And, but
That's
I
also a good
wasn't.
awareness too, though, because
Yeah.
sometimes awareness is reflection. Because awareness can be reflection. Awareness is like can also
Yes.
be presence.
Yes.
But for some people, they can get to a state of presence through reflection. So you have to start somewhere, and that's why I said like there's levels to this, and it's all
Yeah.
okay where you are.